All right, let me see this. Let me see this rack. Josh, send me pictures of his rack. Look at this guy. Wow, dude, that printer's as big as the rack. Dude, that thing is awesome.
Yeah, the printer's definitely ridiculous, but
dude, that thing is awesome. Is that a Millennium Falcon on top of it?
It is the Mandalorian. Can't remember what the name is.
Yeah, okay.
Mandalorian chip.
That's sick. So the two cases at the bottom here, these are your PC cases that you built in.
Yep.
God, they're so big.
They are. They're for you.
Dude, your rack is huge, Josh. I don't know if you know this. I'm lusting over your huge rack right now. Recording. All right. It's recording.
Here we go.
Here we go. Welcome back to Crowbar Kernel Panic. Today, we're going to be diving into the hardware involved in your Homelab build and the various strategies that you might take in building a Homelab. The gear you spin up at home to learn, experiment, or just build your own little cloud. We've broken it down into 3 lanes. The rack mount monster that sounds like you smuggled a data center into your garage. The Goldilocks workstation that balances power and sanity. I think you can tell which one I picked by which one has the best title. And the tiny low-powered nodes you can cluster on a bookshelf. We'll compare cost, noise, power draw, and talk about which setup makes sense depending on your space, budget, and goals. But before we get into all of that in this episode, I have to say thank you to everyone that recently subscribed to the podcast. We finally broke 300 subscribers, which we've been sitting at 200 for like 2 years. So it was a huge jump. I think we got like 260 before the last episode, and then after the last episode, we finally made the push over 300. We're at 312, which I am baffled by. I thought it would take a few. We did like sort of a little bit of a format change in focusing on the Homelab stuff, and I thought that doing several episodes like in a topic like that would help. But I didn't think it would just be. I didn't think it would just be one podcast episode. Yeah, it's been really amazing. The views for us. I mean, we're no big time YouTubers. The views for us have been like, this is blowing me. I'm a little nervous. on this episode. I don't know how to contain myself. But we got some comments I want to read. Oh, before we get into that though, I didn't warn you beforehand, but I don't know if you remember, but when we hit 200 subscribers, we were going to live stream an Arch Linux install. And
I forgot about that. 100
subscribers later, we still have not done that live stream. So I think we need to come clean on this. This promise.
I totally forgot about that. Like,
oh, you know what's great is now that we're building Homelabs, we have hypervisors. So like we could just spin up a VM and do a full install and stream it.
Yep.
And it'll be easy to stream and it'll be low impact on us because
you can even screen record on your computer of your web browser doing the setup.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that is a good show idea. We'll make it a bonus. We'll do it a bonus episode one week where we do we'll live stream an Arch install just to make good on our 200 subscriber promise. Now that we are at 300 subscribers. So let's read some comments that we got on the last episode. So on the last episode, we got a comment. This is from Levix, who says, I'm working on the same project and trying to Kubernetes my Homelab. I'm going with MicroK8s. Okay, nice. MicroK8s from Canonical, which, I'm planning to use the Ubuntu Cloud VMs or Ubuntu, I forget exactly what they're called. I'm planning to use those VMs, so maybe it would make sense to go with Canonical solution instead of K3S, which is by Rancher. I think it's by the cow people. All their stuff's cow related. So I don't know. I in my response back, I said I was considering MicroK8s, but I don't know. I'm still on the fence. I haven't completely decided yet. The only reason why I might still go with K3S is because all of all of my preparation that I've done so far has been on K3S, and because I'm recording everything, I don't really want to change too much preparation ahead of time. But we'll see. So he says, I'm liking it so far, and it's lightweight like K3S. Plus has a lot of built-in add-ons and Metal LB for getting direct IP access to all services. I've been liking it a lot so far. What is Metal LB? What is metal load balancing? What is Metal LB?
That kind of sounds like that's what it would be. I'm not sure what it is, but if it gets you direct access to your services in your containers, that sounds like it's promising. Because that's one of the big contentions of using containers in general is getting the freaking networking to just pass through.
So I just asked ChatGPT, what is Metal LB? Let's see what it says. Yes, it is load balancing implementation for Kubernetes that works on bare metal, which that's what I imagined was that it was bare metal load balancing. So that sounds
when they have names like that.
It's nice whenever they got names that make sense. It's spelled mostly correct, or it is spelled correct basically. So I just said, yeah, that's great. Thank you. I'm thinking about microcates instead. Not completely decided yet. So essentially what I just said a minute ago, I'm still on the fence. I think I'm still also kind of on the fence with the Solus thing too, because I think that in the I am of two minds. One is what makes a better video. The second thing is what is going to be better, like long-term set it and forget it. Yeah. And I think that if I was looking for long-term set it and forget it, I would probably go with Celos, whatever it is. But if I'm trying to make a better video, I think K3S makes the better video. So, or even microcates would, I think either of those are equally a good video. So I'm on the fence, but I will probably still stick with K3S if I'm being honest. So I really appreciate that comment.
No, I'm on the fence of even doing that stuff yet, because like it's a lot to get into in a home lab, and I'm already on the fence of just trying to keep things stable as long as possible. And
I'm beginning to regret my promise, because the more I think about it, the more I'm thinking like this is way overkill for a home lab.
It's not even the overkill for me. It's just like it comes.
It's overcomplication. It's overcomplication.
Yes, I'm like working all day with this crap, and then I come home and I really don't want to do the same thing. I want to do something different, you know?
Yeah, well, that's why I took up fishing. Whenever I don't want to, when I don't do this, I'll go fishing.
Technology, I want to do something different with technology. Like, I don't want to do the exact same stuff.
So we got a comment on. So I posted our very first vlog for the channel. I'm calling it a vlog. It's mostly a talking head video. It's mostly me in front of this camera. But I filmed myself putting together the hardware of the home lab, and I've filmed myself doing the Proxmox installation. That's really like, I kind of think of this video as like the introductory to the series. There's not like really the second video will kind of be the first video. This one was the beginning, was kind of explaining what to expect. And then I filmed myself building the PC, which I don't think anybody watching home lab videos is really concerned about the PC building portion of it. And then my thought was, well, then I'll film myself doing the Proxmox setup. But really the Proxmox setup was so quick. It's really not like, it's so easy to install. Yeah, it's really not, there's not really much explanation to it. So the next video is really where the journey starts. And also I want to say, like, if you're planning to follow along, like I appreciate the people that say that they're going to. I'm on the journey too, right? Don't think of me as an authority. I'm learning this as we go in the same way. So yeah, I appreciate anyone that's willing to subscribe and follow along. But yeah, the video is doing really well. So we got a comment from the last commenter also commented on the vlog video, and he said to just keep in mind to have a solid, truly high availability Kubernetes cluster, you'll want a Proxmox cluster to run the nodes across the cluster, which that makes perfect sense. Also, you might want to look into getting a NAS to set up NFS storage if you want to do K8s right, have remote storage for the deployment. You can also, in a pinch, set up a TrueNAS VM to use for it. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. That's how I'm running my test cluster. But overall, this is a good place to start, and you can definitely use it to start learning for sure. So I commented back that, yeah, NAS is definitely high on my list of next steps. I need to build a NAS sooner rather than later. it'll be in a video coming up soon for sure. I like the idea of doing a TrueNAS VM, and I wonder if that would be easy to migrate if I build a physical NAS future. I said, as for high availability Proxmox, that's also my radar, but it's not as immediate of a need. I'm not really trying to set up high availability because I'm worried about a loss of service. It's more just the cool factor, flexing on it. And I'm jealous of yours. I don't know if in the vlog I put a funny meme in the video about your high availability Proxmox cluster. And so I said great input, and thank you for the feedback. What were you going to add to his suggestion?
Well, I was just going to say about your VM TrueNAS VM situation.
Yeah.
So like it's actually pretty easy to migrate, because the nice thing is once you get the TrueNAS VM set up and all that stuff, you're going to have another disk that has all of your data on it, so the OS can be like blown away and rebuilt, and you just attach it to that data disk. So basically what you do is you just blow away the OS, install it on your system, and then take that data from the data disk on the VM and just put it onto the machine, and you're good to go basically.
Okay. That sounds like I'll recruit your help whenever I'm doing that then.
It's really nice, because I've had to do it a couple times where I had to reinstall TrueNAS, and it's cuts the time in half at least.
I could use it as he suggested. I could use it for the initial deployment if I build the VM. Yeah. If I build that VM first. Oh, this messes up my video, but yeah, I think that might be a better approach. So we'll look into it. We also got a comment from Alex the Ghost. And he says, subscribe because I really want to see how you do it, as I have a Homelab and plan to move to Proxmox and need to learn how. I need to be able to deploy Node.js apps to run in a Docker, but did not manage to get it working with TrueNAS. A lot of configuration errors.
Yeah, definitely problems with trying to run regular Docker app. Yeah.
I said, thank you. I don't have a lot of experience with Node.js yet, but we'll definitely be covering running Docker containers. We'll do some research and see if we can help with his Node.js question more specifically. So my experience with Node.js is it's a service that runs as part of the application stack for the application that I manage. But beyond making sure that the service is running, I don't really do anything with it. So I don't really know much about Node.js itself. But I think if we cover Rancher and Docker and those topics, that will probably answer his question. But we'll see. Yeah. Leave another comment, Alex, if you have a more specific request.
I will add too that the most recent update of TrueNAS has updated a lot of that custom Docker stuff.
Yeah.
But I haven't tested any of it yet. I tested it in the previous versions, and it was definitely a lot to be desired, but maybe they fixed some of that. So maybe if you update to the newest version, it might actually help.
Could be. I really appreciate, so those are the 3 comments we got on the last 2 videos. I really appreciate everyone's comments. I really appreciate everybody that subscribed recently and that is watching the videos. If you just subscribe to the channel, join the Discord, and you can post in the Discord chat if you have any questions about, we have people in there that are smarter than Josh and I, and then also Josh and I are in there as second fiddles. And we can do our best to answer any questions you have, or if you have suggestions for stuff you want us to cover, or suggestions for how to better our approach to building our home labs. Josh is well established in the space. I'm building mine for a second time, but even the first time I didn't get very far before it turned into a Minecraft PC for my son. So this is really my first time. We'll call it my 1.5 time, I guess, maybe. So yeah, we'll take all the advice we can get, and we'll help out as much as we can too. So please join the Discord. There's a link in the show notes and on YouTube. And yeah, we appreciate everyone input. Before we get into our hardware talk, we have a little bit of hardware talk. So running to get ready for the show today, you actually had a real life Homelab hardware issue. Why don't you explain that to us, and maybe it'll give us some pointers as to what we should avoid as far as which lane we're going to choose in our hardware decision.
Well, so I'll preface this with the fact that I started out my journey with a pre-built PC, like a HP PC, and I put it into a standard server box that I bought off of Amazon.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's right.
Yep. Well, that I had so many issues with that, and in the end, I was like, forget this. I'm just gonna buy a motherboard, like an actual real motherboard that's not from HP and all this stuff. So I do that. I got a decent deal on it, and I put that all in. I boot it up, and I'm like, okay, so nothing's happening. It won't boot. I'm just sitting there at the BIOS screen. It's frozen. I'm like, okay. So I get into the not in the BIOS, but the post screen.
Mm-hmm.
So then I reboot it, get into the BIOS, change a bunch of settings that I didn't realize I would need to change. And then it comes up and it says, what is it? GOP was not correct. And I'm like, what the heck does GOP stand for? And it was the graphics. What was that? Graphics something, whatever. It was something to do with the graphics. I can't quite remember what it stood for.
Is it where it's trying to just select whether to use your onboard graphics or your graphics card? There's like a setting on my motherboard.
Yes, it's kind of like that, except for the problem is that the graphics card that I have in there, this has Intel graphics also, but the actual physical graphics card I have in there is so old that the motherboard can't recognize it.
Oh,
well, at least in UEFI mode, it can't recognize it. So it has to be in CSM mode or BIOS mode to recognize it, except for it won't boot in BIOS mode because I installed TrueNAS as a UEFI.
Oh, okay.
So then I switch it over to UEFI mode, okay?
Yeah.
And it says about that error with the GOP whatever. And then it says skip, and then it will reset in the next boot or go into the setup. So I'm like, okay, I'll skip it. Boots up fine, everything's fine. It comes up, all my stuff is running. So I'm like, I'm going to try to reboot this and see if it's actually going to come up. Nope, same problem. So I'm like, okay, yep. So I changed a few more settings in the BIOS. I'm not 100% on everything, but the next thing I did was I switched it from the graphics card to the integrated graphics as being the default output.
Yeah.
Well, now it's booting up like to the BIOS screen again, and it's looking correct, but it still freezes. And when I try to get into the actual BIOS, the settings and all that, it freaks out. So I'm kind of at this limbo state, and I'm not sure exactly what I'm gonna do except for resetting the BIOS. Like taking the battery out. So I'm like, what the heck am I gonna do? And the only thing I can think of is at least try to take the graphics card out.
Yeah.
And see if it'll boot up without the graphics card, because maybe there's something to do with that. But it keeps
Did you try
freezing. That yet? No, not yet. I haven't got to that yet.
Okay.
So it keeps freezing on the post screen. Like it'll say MSI, and and the logo will come up, and it'll just freeze there forever. It'll just stay there.
Okay.
Except for that one time that I got it.
I had this exact problem when I built my current gaming PC, and it was exactly what you described, and that's what I had to do was take the graphics card out, and then it booted up enough that I could change the BIOS. So in my case, what it was the BIOS would recognize my GPU enough to realize that there was a GPU plugged in.
Yes, that's exactly what mine was doing.
And it was set to auto detect. So it has an option that says use onboard graphics, use external GPU, or auto detect. And it was set to auto detect, which is probably the default, almost always.
Yep.
And so it would detect that there was a graphics card plugged in. This was on the Intel Arc A770, and it was when it was still brand new. But it couldn't actually load the card and use the card.
Right.
And so I would just get stuck on these endless black screens. Well, that was the fix.
So you were having the opposite issue of what I'm having, and your graphics card was too new. Mine is probably too old because it's a freaking it's just a random one I picked up, and I was like, I'll give it a shot. I'll throw it in. What the heck? Because I like to put it into my VM, so I have an actual graphics card attached to a VM. It's the whole thing. But
ever since then, I've never had the problem. Ever since then, even like switching OSs, it's never come up again. It was just that when I first bought the motherboard, and could be you just bought a brand new motherboard, you might need to do a firmware update, but you're using an old graphics card.
It is from 2024, so it might the BIOS I saw, so it might need an update, but I highly doubt it because it's too old of a graphics card.
That's funny. But yeah,
I have
that's
2 other graphics cards to try, so I can also try those.
So to segue this into our topic today, we have set up 3 mock builds, and we have them set up in lanes, and each lane represents different philosophy of how you might consider purchasing hardware or designing the hardware you're going to use in your home lab. The lane 1 here it's called the Data Center Monster. This is Refurb Enterprise Rack parts. So this is a piece of a data center in your home. You go to like one of these liquidation websites or on eBay, and you find old, used enterprise gear. Actual servers.
Yeah.
In a rack. Actual network equipment. All of this, and this is and then you use that, and then the benefit of it is it's probably identical to what you're used to seeing at your employment, because it is, and honestly, in most cases, people probably do get these like as stuff that's being thrown away at a company.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then they're resold, or maybe you work for the company and they allow you to take it home or whatever. I had one incident like this where a company I worked for, this was years ago, they were replacing all of their network devices. And they actually just let the people that I was a contractor and I came in to help replace the devices, and they actually just let us each take one home, and they threw the rest away, like literally just like in a landfill. And I took it home, and it sat in my garage forever. It was like a 24 port Netgear switch, and I never did anything with it. Never did anything at all.
Oh man,
just sat in my closet. Yeah. I kept thinking, I'm going to get up in the attic and I'm going to set it up and I'm going to run lines to all the rooms in my house. But the problem with this, and I think this is what you would face with trying to build a home lab in this way, is the problem I felt like is, okay, if I put it in my attic, the attic's going to get hot. These devices are designed to run in a server room where you have AC running, underneath the floor and above. And I never felt like I could really, like, it might be a fire hazard. Like, I never felt like I could really get an appropriate environment for it. Also,
it's hard when you're talking about attics and basements and stuff like that. Like basement, you would think would be fine, but then you got flooding. That's another issue. Yeah.
And it's going to put off a lot of heat. This type of equipment is going to put off a lot of heat. It's going to be loud. It's going to have very loud fans pulling all the heat off of it. So it's going to sound like a jet engine. You're not going to want it sitting in your office, especially if you're doing a podcast. But in general, you probably don't want it sitting in there because it's the big monster. That's why this was titled that way.
Yeah. I'll say I wear earplugs when I go into the server room. That's how loud they are.
Yeah, I don't get to go into them anymore. I miss server rooms.
I literally work in one basically. So
yeah, my old job, I was in there all the time. I miss it. My current job, I'm at a cubicle all day. This workload is best for giant VM farms. It would be cool if you bought like a used HPC, like a hypervisor, or that would be pretty cool. Like an old HP SimpliVity or something like that. But again, it's just going to be so loud. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it would be hard. You'd have to have like a climate controlled garage or shed or something that you could put it in that would be out of people's way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do you think that the server rooms have to be air conditioned the way they do because there is so many of them? Like, maybe if you're only running a switch and a server as a hypervisor, then it's not going to put off as much heat, so you could get away with it in your normal house. I have no idea. I'm actually guessing.
I think the thing is with the server rooms is they're expecting the servers to be maxed out a lot or heavily used.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah,
so if it's sitting there idling all the time, it's probably not going to be that big of a deal. It's still going to be loud though.
That's true. That's true.
Because the only reason I even say that is because at my parents' business, I had a HP ProLiant that I would use, and Yeah, it was loud, but I just stuck it in the basement and put it back in a corner, and it just kind of chugged along all, just fine. I never had any, serious issue with it as far as cooling went.
Okay. Yeah. It's probably just a matter
Rumor was
of
in to get a little hot, but
okay. Yeah, it's probably just a matter of the amount that's in the room then. So I looked at some prices on some of this, and it's really hard to say. I mean, it's all over the place because if you're buying brand new, it's going to be, if you're buying brand new, it's going to be crazy expensive. But you wouldn't, if you were in this scenario, you wouldn't buy brand new. You would buy used, or you would even take maybe donations. But I saw on an average about $600 to $800. And that is for something like let's see, I wrote down an R720 with 20 cores, 128 gigs of RAM. So that thing's maxed out. That is around
no storage,
around 700
though, right?
Probably. Some storage, minimal storage, minimal storage. It wouldn't be your full NAS, but it's minimal.
That's
storage.
My problem I have is when I was looking for servers like this, it's like, oh, they're not too bad, and then you look at one with full storage in it, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah, I think there's one lane that we didn't cover in this, that we're not going to cover in this episode, and it's honestly because I don't know enough about it, but I know that there are some prosumer like Homelab products that like mimic in great they mimic these types of hardwares, but they're made for more, quieter.
They're not quite as robust.
Right, exactly. Exactly. And the price is probably it's the price for those products are probably a little more expensive than these, but they're made to be in your house. That's the difference. New. And they're brand new. They have a warranty, all that, yada, yada, yada. That would be an interesting episode for us to do in the future as we learn more about that. I don't know enough about those companies. But yeah, so we're looking at $679. That's before tax. You're probably looking at $700 or $800, and you'd have a really nice server, but it's going to be loud. It's going to be hot. And it's only, my entire build was less than $679. And this is only, this is only your one server, so I don't see many people going this route. I think we can move on from this one pretty quickly, but yeah, you're looking at $600 to $800, loud, obnoxious.
Yep. All the above.
It would be interesting if you work somewhere that you could get a discount or get donations of stuff they're getting rid of. Then it would be an interesting
even not
approach.
To run all the time, but even just to play around with, just to use it to get used to the hardware. Turn it on, turn it off, basically, kind of thing.
Yeah. Lane 2 is what we're calling the Goldilocks lane, but this is building a workstation. So this is mimicking, many people could do this with the parts they have in their closet, just from the parts that, they upgraded and now they have it sitting in the top of their closet and they don't know what to do with it.
Yep.
And instead of building a second computer, maybe you already have a second computer, instead of building a third computer, they could repurpose it to be a home lab. And this is the lane that I went down. So I didn't have spare parts in my closet. I didn't have another build handy, but what I did was I basically said, okay, if I had a spare gaming PC in my closet, what hardware would it have? And then I set out and found that hardware. My price ended up being $660 for the whole build. I could have went cheaper. That wasn't the cheapest I possibly could have went.
Yeah.
I considered going the next route we're going to talk about. I considered going the like mini PC route. But when I looked up the prices, it felt like it was going to cost me about the same. Because if I went mini PC, I wanted to have 3. I didn't want to start with just one.
Yeah.
And so it was looking like it was going to be a similar cost. And I just kind of, in my mind, I was thinking, you know what? I'm doing this like, for the most part, I'm doing this for the podcast, and I'm also doing it just to kind of learn more and to practice with things. And I want an environment where I can test things that I'm doing at work without having to do it in my lower environments at work. I was just thinking, if for some reason that doesn't work out, or I give up on that idea, this can always just be a third computer. Like this can always just be another gaming PC. It's actually,
you're thinking about repurposing situation.
Yeah, it could be repurposed. So basically, I built a gaming PC that doesn't have a graphics card. Now, I do plan to add a graphics card because I want to do some local language stuff. For now, there's no graphics card in it. It is just a gaming PC minus the graphics card is basically what I've built. But this is the compromised box. It's not quite as more power inefficient. Is that right? It is less efficient than lane 3, but it's more efficient than lane 1.
Right. Yep.
And it is the way I built mine. It's quiet. It may not be as quiet as lane 3, but I think for the most part, mine is pretty quiet. I only have the Noctua fan that's on the CPU.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I have like a Be Quiet fan or something, just something that I had spare in the case, and that's all I got. I don't have it full of fans. I just have one case fan, one CPU fan. There's no graphics card.
As long as you're not taxing it too crazy.
Yeah, it should be fine.
You'll be all right. Now, maybe when you get that GPU in there and you start using language models, then you might need some more fans.
Yeah, then I'll have to put some more fans in it. It might get a little bit louder. That is for sure. So it can sit under your desk, and it's not going to be like wrecking your ears.
This is where I started too. This is getting these kind of Dell's HPs. That's where my servers came from. I just kind of transplanted them. But
so the example in lane 2 is something like a Dell Precision, HP Z440. The ThinkStations, you could get a Lenovo ThinkStation. You can get those on eBay. I was looking at ThinkStations before I built mine. Probably would have been a cheaper route if I went with a ThinkStation. The only reason why I didn't is because when you buy those things on eBay, you're kind of running the risk of like, you don't know the person you're getting it from. And it's kind of like you get what you get. Like you buy it, could be perfect. You may turn it on and it never posts. And so I've always been kind of nervous about buying those like refurbished PCs that way. Realistically, anecdotally, the people I know that have done that, it's worked out for. Like, I don't really know that I know anybody that's bought one that's just been a brick.
Basically, all my stuff is refurbished, pretty much. Like,
yeah,
I don't ever buy new stuff. All my hard drives are refurbished, or used, one or the other, because I ain't paying $600 for a hard drive.
So that's another avenue. Like I built a PC brand new. All generation or two old parts, but I built it all brand new and it was $660. If I had found a ThinkPad on eBay, I bet I could have found one for $400, maybe even better than that. Just depends on how risky you want to be.
That's the thing. Yeah. So my HP, I don't remember the exact, it was a Z something, but that one was only $150. Like I searched for a long time for that one, and I just happened to get it. And it's got an 8th gen i7, 6 cores, 12 threads.
Yeah.
So it's actually it's a pretty decent one for $150. Like you can't beat that. That's why I wasn't too broken
really
up
good.
about having to get a new motherboard for it, because it wasn't, it's basically free realistically compared to buying a new one for $800.
I think it's an interesting route to go to because you're like reusing. So it's like you're recycling,
That's
like
another thing. Yeah. I like because these schools and businesses, they just chuck this stuff. And it's like, it's nice to feel like you're actually kind of like not letting it go to a landfill somewhere.
Yeah, I really admire that. I think that's a good way to think about it and a way to approach it. So in our example build here, we have an Intel Xeon E5 1650, 64 gigs of RAM. And in our example build, they suggest two terabytes of SATA SSD. I think in most of these cases, you're going to buy it in whatever it comes. You're going to probably upgrade. If you're buying a used ThinkStation or something like that, the best way to approach it probably is to buy it not based on the specs.
Yeah.
Buy it based on the CPU spec and the motherboard spec, and then plan to upgrade the RAM and the storage. That's the approach I would take for a few reasons. One being that most likely if you buy it and something's broke whenever it gets to you, it's probably the RAM. I don't know why that is, but it seems like the RAM goes out faster than anything else.
It seems that way. I will agree. I've had to replace my fair share of RAM sticks.
So I would just feel comfortable buying something like that on eBay, just going ahead and replacing that. And then the SSD, if it's a if it's an SSD, you're getting, I doubt they're putting 1 terabytes. You're probably getting like a 512 terabyte or something like that. You're going to want to upgrade it anyway. So
that's what I got. I got a 512 in mine when I bought it.
And if you find a seller that's actually just selling it like without those, just like bare bones, and then and knowing that you're going to upgrade it yourself, that also could be a good way to get a discount on it too. And a lot of these eBay sellers, they have like a lot of like 20 of them. And so I bet in some cases you could actually communicate with the seller and say you want to buy one that doesn't have any RAM or hard drive, and they may be glad to get rid of one that they don't have to sort of mock upgrade so they can sell it. Because what happens with these is they know that people looking on eBay that are not necessarily informed in what they're looking for, they're scrolling through eBay and they're just looking at, okay, I'm looking for the keywords of i5, i7, and I'm looking for 32 gigs of RAM. I'm looking for, and they're just looking for those specs. And so a lot of times these sellers will upgrade it enough so that it meets that quick glance. And and that's an investment they have to make. So if you find one of these guys, they may be willing to sell it to you before they have done that for a little bit cheaper. But anyway, the average cost is $400 to $550. Like I said, I built mine new. It was about $660, so it's still in that same ballpark. Much quieter. Still supports ECC memory. Single socket. This is talking about the specific build. But the cons are it's less expansion than a full rack.
That's partially why I went to a full rack, because of the hard drive specific expansion. Because I can get now 13 drives in both my servers.
You could still do this build, but in a rack case.
Yeah.
So you could do the build that I did, and instead of I bought a Lian Li case. Yeah. You could just buy a rack case and build it inside.
Exactly. Of it. That's essentially what I did, except for I transplanted the innards of the HP and Dell server or Dell desktops I had, and I put them into the server rack. So
my specific build, I'll tell you what I got. You can grill me on how good or how bad I did.
It's a roasting time.
Let me see if I can find my list of hardware. Otherwise, I got to pull up my Amazon purchases. Okay, so here's the parts that I ordered. So my GPU, I'm sorry, I don't have a GPU. My CPU is the Ryzen 7 5800 XT. It's 8 cores and 16 threads. You should definitely recognize that chip.
Yeah, I do.
Josh, that's a great CPU. It is. It's great. I think it is the best AM4 CPU.
Yeah, definitely. It's right like in that perfect junction between being not powerful enough or too powerful. It's like right there. It's perfect.
It is the best bang for your buck. And let's see how much it costs today. I don't know how much it cost when I bought it. It is $158. I think it might have been a little cheaper than that when I bought it.
That's pretty good, because I
good.
bought mine for like $350 or $400.
I know. I know. It's AM5 now is widely adopted, but this is the best AM4. And there's still, and I say why
AM4 if you're going for a budget or more budget build.
Oh yes,
it's still powerful.
If you're doing a budget build, you should go with this CPU. Yeah. Let me see what else I got. That was my favorite purchase. I said my favorite purchase was that and the case. I went with the Lian Li A3 MATX, which it's a micro ATX case, and it has this like wood grain front on it. But I just am a huge fanboy of Lian Li. I've been a fan of Lian Li for a long time.
Yeah, you got me on the Lian Li, and I think my next case is going to be Lian Li, because I bought my wife's PC case as a Lian Li, and I love that thing. I think it's so nice.
The first PC I ever built, a friend of mine that helped me do it, like the guy that kind of got me into PC building, he had a Lian Li case, and it was this gigantic full towered case. It was crazy. And we used to go to LAN parties, and he had to carry this giant case in, but it was so awesome. It was like thick aluminum, and there's all these aftermarket things you could get for it and rivet into it and stuff. And you couldn't buy it anymore. I found one on eBay because I wanted one so bad. I found one on eBay and ordered it, and I built so many PCs in that thing before I finally got rid of it. I got rid of it because it was so old. It only had 80 millimeter fans. It didn't have any. It didn't have any 120 millimeter.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
There was aftermarket things you could get for it that would adapt it to a 120 millimeter fan. But yeah, it was built in a time period where like nobody had 120 millimeter.
Wow, that's insane.
But yeah, so I've been a fan of Lian Li for a long time. But so that was my two favorite purchases of the build, and then my I would say my second favorite or third favorite, however you're looking at it, the Noctua CPU cooler. I went with air cooled. I almost always liquid cool my PCs, but I went with air cooled just because I know that.
Yeah, you want to air cool. You don't want to liquid cool because you want it to be no maintenance, zero.
Exactly. Once I get this thing up and running, I just want to forget about it. So yeah, I didn't do a liquid cooled this time. I mean, I guess you could do an all-in-one cooler, all-in-one liquid cooler.
Even though they're still not zero maintenance because they eventually the water. I've had several.
It will eventually evaporate. Yeah.
Yes, it eventually evaporates, especially if you're going to start. Now, if you're going to use this for like heavy loads, I would maybe recommend that. But if you can, just get a bigger air cooler.
Yeah. No, I think this will be fine for what I'm doing. And for anything I plan to do. And then I went with the Western Digital Black Series 1 terabyte NVMe drive. The motherboard that I got has 2 NVMe slots. I don't know that I'm going to use the second slot though. This 1 terabyte drive is literally just for my virtual my VMs. I don't know that I'm going to go more than 1 terabyte. I don't really know for sure. I guess I'll find out down the road if that's too, but I feel like that's plenty size.
Yeah. So right now I'm running with on my Proxmox cluster that's 256 gig in that, and then in my main server I actually only have 128 gig, and I'm just starting to get to the point where that needs to be upgraded. So I'm in the market for getting an upgraded.
Yeah. Now I will in the future. I will build a NAS. I'll build a drive array of some kind, and then use it as a NAS. But I went with a gigabyte. B550M. I never can say this. Aorus.
Aorus. Yeah.
I don't like this motherboard. I bought it because it was the right price. Kept me under my budget.
That's the one I basically have. I have that one in my gaming PC. I love that motherboard. It's the best one I've ever had. It's so easy. Like I've never had any issues with this thing.
Take it back. I don't know. For me, it just didn't feel like, I don't know.
The only one that ever came compared to this one that I can say is my Asus, but it was like the beefiest Asus motherboard you could get. And like I overclocked the crap out of my old AMD card in that thing, and that thing would not die. Like I put so much power through that thing. I was running like 60 some C on custom water cooling loops. So like I was putting a ton of power into that thing.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. I'll be pleasantly surprised. I just felt like
if you don't like the interface or something like that, that's a personal preference, and I totally understand that. But like
I'm used to Asus, and I usually use Asus as my motherboard.
So it's like if you're used to that kind of stuff, I understand it. But like I've used this one for so long now that I just
you're selling me. Maybe I've been too harsh. I've been too harsh on it. I don't know. It does
have. If you don't like the interface, what are you gonna do?
It does. I thought it only had one PCI Express slot, but it actually does have 2.
Oh, okay.
So well, it's a little better than I thought. I thought it only had 1 because it was micro versus the full size, but it does have 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sometimes the micros are weird because sometimes you can get like 4 PCIe lanes or slots, and other times you can get like 2. And I'm like, why?
So this was literally, I went to Amazon, I looked up power supplies, I filtered by the cheap, because this was the last thing I had to get. And so I was like really trying to squeeze it into the budget. I think this power supply at the time I purchased it cost me like $50. No, less than that. It cost me $40. For this power supply, and it is a not modular. It has no features. It's just I'm gonna
grill you a little bit on this. So for me personally, the first thing I think of is power supply, only because Only because this is what everyone has always told me. Your power supply touches every piece of your computer, every single piece. So if that is garbage, it's going to destroy the rest of your computer.
I like that feedback. That is really good feedback. I did not do that though, Josh.
Now, price doesn't mean a darn thing about power supplies. You can get a really good cheap power supply. So
I like the MSI. I like the MSI brand. I always have.
Yeah, I have no issues with MSI brand.
I've never thought of them as the great power supply brand, though. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, there's a lot of them out there that are like, I don't know about you. Like, I don't know if I want to buy that one. The only issue I've ever heard of with the MSI power supply is my one friend. He had one that died in about like 6 months or whatever it was, or it was either 6 months or like 2 years.
It was an MSI. It was an MSI.
Yeah, it was an MSI. Yeah.
I mean, I bought a $40 power supply. It's probably going to die. I don't think I'm going to have it next year.
I've bought $40, $50, $60 power supplies that have lasted me 10 years. So that I'm telling you, it means nothing. Even the ratings on the power supplies don't mean anything really. I mean, it's just the manufacturer really.
So that's another thing I was going to say is this one is rated at 550 watts. This Homelab is almost never going to pull that much, and so it's going to be well below its wattage rating. And so maybe it's an okay thing to. I don't know. I like your statement about it touches everything in your system, so it's just worth what I've not been told skipping my
entire career. It's like power supply is not worth skipping too much on.
I think that's good advice.
Again, it doesn't matter the price. The price is not the factor.
I think that's good advice, but I didn't take it. I bought the cheapest one I could find on Amazon. It wasn't the cheapest. I think there was one or two. It was like the third
there's
cheapest.
Other brands that are just garbage. So you at least got a brand name.
That's what I did. I filtered by cheapest and I picked the lowest one that had a brand name, but it was literally like the third cheapest. It wasn't way. I didn't have to change pages. It was on the same page.
Okay.
And
we'll find out, right?
Yeah, we'll find out. The weird thing about power supplies is I remember whenever I used to work at Geek Squad, there was occasions where we would have a computer come in that would be running running slow, or it would be like spontaneously slow, and you couldn't figure out why. And it would be like we'd run hard drive tests, the hard drive would pass, we'd run tests on the RAM would pass. And it would get to this place where it's like, we see that this computer's running slow, but we've tested all the hardware and we can't tell what it is. And in those cases, a lot of times we'd replace the power supply. And believe it or not, that's what the issue was. It was like the power supply was not providing enough power to the hard drive to operate correctly. Now, I'm an old man, and this was in the days of, this may have been spinning disk. So that might be a little different on SSDs. They probably require less demand. On an SSD. Yeah. So that might have been in the era of spinning disks, actually. But yeah, I guess that just goes back to what you're saying about like your power supply touches everything. So like it kind of, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have skimped on it. Another item that I don't think I skipped on this. But I got the G.Skill Ripjaw V series DDR4 RAM, 64 gigs. I just found 2 more 32 gig sticks in my closet. They're completely different. They're probably different. I'm sure they're a different clock speed and everything. So I don't even know if they'll work together, but I could actually add 2 more. I could actually add 64 gigs more to my system but it'll probably clock at whatever the lowest speed is. I don't know what the speed is on the other RAM.
Yeah. Well, I like G.Skill. I've always used G.Skill. And the reason I like them is because I don't know about the older versions of it, but the newer ones use Samsung NAND, or I'm not sure if it's NAND, but the chips on it are Samsung, and I've always had a good time with them.
I've used it in the past. I think one of my early builds I had G.Skill. Nowadays I usually use Corsair, but yeah, I think I've had it in the past. And it's a brand that I know is reputable. So I think I did a pretty good build for $600, $660.
Yeah, to be honest, it's actually really good.
And let's see, was there anything that I had to get? So any kind of fans, any kind of wire management.
Yeah.
All of that came, like, I didn't have to buy any of that. I already had it in the closet. But essentially I bought everything. I mean, I bought the motherboard, processor, RAM, SSD, cooler. I mean, this is a full build basically.
Yeah.
Just none of the bells and whistles. I had to get out of my stash.
The sad part is you buy a GPU and it's more than the whole computer.
That's the thing. That's the thing is this would be a budget gaming build minus the GPU, but the GPU is that's another $600. Like, so it's not a budget build.
No.
You'd have to skimp more to get it under $1,000 if this were a gaming PC. But for a home lab, it's a really good start. So, so this is the compromise box. It'll be quiet enough for the home office, powerful enough to run real enterprise workloads. This is for someone who wants to learn and host services without the heat and the noise of a rack server. Lane 3. And this is our final lane. This is the Whisper Quiet Cluster. So lane 3 is the this is where you're building a cluster out of small form factor PCs, things like the Dell Precision, the T series, the HP Z440 or Z640, or any of the Z series that are like the small little sandwich size computers, the Lenovo ThinkStations, the P series Lenovos. I almost went this route. I was really close to going this route. This is actually what I started looking at. And you have a great setup. Of course, you said you've changed it all, but I remember the way it was in the past.
No, not this. This is the same way. My Proxmox cluster is still the mini,
okay. So you've built another home server.
Well, I had
outside of your Proxmox cluster.
So I had a storage server that was a Dell desktop.
Gotcha.
Then I bought a second HP desktop as a backup, like it, to replicate to. But then on the side of those two, I had 3 little Dell micros or minis, whatever they are, that were my Proxmox cluster.
Okay, man, you have like the real setup.
Well, I was fortunate enough to be in one of those places where I could get super cheap hardware if I talked to the right guy.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And there's a lot of people that have access to that because this, again, much like the previous build, a lot of these PCs companies just throw away or they sell in bulk. They get usually what happens is there'll be a company that will lease these computers to another company that's actually using the computers. And then at the end of that lease, they will get sold in bulk auctions. And then people buy the bulk auctions and they they fix them up a little bit and then they resell them like on eBay. And that's where you can get good deals on these. Now, the advantage to these is, one, they're low power. So, I think if you have 3 nodes, I asked ChatGPT to do a calculation and 3 nodes could run at like less than 50 watts in total.
Oh yeah, easy.
And the beauty of these is it's like strength in numbers. So like one of these is not necessarily a game changer, but 3 of them working in a cluster is a game changer.
And it all depends on how you want to run your cluster. You could run it as redundancy, or you could run it as all of them working together at the same time.
That's right. It could be a high availability situation where you have redundancy and a failover, or you could have like even like Raspberry Pis. Like people build these Raspberry Pi clusters where they have like 6 Raspberry Pis all working as
stacked up like little
those are sick, dude. Yeah, that was another thing I considered too.
They are pretty cool.
But Raspberry Pis
cost $200 a piece now.
That's what I was going to say. The price of Raspberry Pis have gone up though, so people are not doing that as much as they used to.
They got greedy.
But yeah, there's a lot of opportunity with this lane. So it could be a bookshelf data center, almost invisible, like in the corner of your office.
Totally silent, like 100% silent. You won't even hear these. Even if you go up to them, you won't hear them.
Hey, ChatGPT points out that it's great for people in apartments who want 0 fan noise. Some of them might even not have a fan. I know a lot of those small PCs don't even have a fan.
You want one with a fan if you're going to do it for this, especially with Proxmox, because if you start running multiple VMs on this thing, it's going to start to get hot.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. It's easy to expand, so you need more
Oh,
power.
yeah.
You just
And
go
cheap.
get another. Yeah, you just go get another node. Add it to your cluster.
I will say though, the one caveat, especially to Lenovo's, is a lot of these have a proprietary power.
Oh yes, they do.
You have to buy either an adapter, which I don't know, I never looked them up, or you have to find the power supply that will, hook into it. This is why I recommend the Dells, because they just come with standard power supply, just barrel connector.
Wow. Okay. I was thinking like these are so abundant that I bet the power supplies are relatively easy to find.
I'm sure it's fine. Yeah, I'm sure it's fine. It's probably cheaper to buy the whole thing together instead of just buy a whole new one than have a spare. But
I think the con would be that you've got to upgrade. If you decide to upgrade the node itself, how uniform does it have to be? Like if you have
Proxmox?
3 mini PCs,
is that what you're talking about? Like Proxmox, how uniform does each node have to be?
Yeah.
I don't think it has to be uniform at all. I think you can basically use anything. As far as what I've seen.
But let's say that like you are failing over from one cluster from one. Let's say you're in a
large, smaller.
Yeah, you're in a high availability situation. One node's larger than the others. Then you fell over. Are you going to lose some VMs?
You just have to think about it. You have to think about it and make sure you don't overspend on the larger node, and then be like, oh yeah, I'm going to fail over, 15 terabytes of data and all this other stuff to this other node that has, a terabyte SSD or whatever, compute, same difference. And then it just totally bombards it and just kills it.
So in reality, you are kind of bottlenecked by your smallest node.
Yes, you always are. But as long as you are thought conscious about it and you don't overspend on your biggest node, you're still okay. It'll fail over just fine.
Yeah, you could have a full cluster in a shoebox. I don't know what else to add to our hardware discussion here. I think I would direct people to either lane 2 or lane 3. I don't think it's very practical to go out and get used actual
unless you're planning
retired rack gear.
Yeah, unless you're planning on going into that field or you're already in there and you want to learn, I wouldn't recommend this for anybody, just trying to, build a home lab. Yeah, that would be.
The only thing I would say is that we're thinking about this from sysadmin perspectives.
Yeah.
If you were like a network guy and you were trying to build a network home lab, that might be interesting to actually have real network equipment. But you also could do.
Network equipment isn't as loud either, though.
Right, exactly, and it's not I don't think it's as heat as intensive. But there are really good prosumer rack mounted network gear that you could use instead. Now this might be cheaper though if you if you go with like a Ubiquiti 24 port switch or something like that.
Yep.
I bet you could find used enterprise gear for a similar price or cheaper. Yeah.
Yep, I definitely bet you could. But I will say I will shill for Unify. I love them.
Unify features are really good. Yeah.
It is really nice to have to have them as the backbone.
Yeah, that's I'm not worried about my network just yet. I'm trying to get my Proxmox set up and my Kubernetes set up and get some Docker containers running, and then I'm going to start thinking about my network. Right now I'm using a very cheap switch, and I want to replace it with something that I can run Unify on. Get me some kind of Ubiquiti switch, but that's down the road. That'll be after I need to do the drive array before I do that.
So I have a quick also extra PSA.
Yeah. Do it.
I've been dealing with issues at work with ZFS and not labeling your drives properly.
Yeah.
Okay. Please, if you're using ZFS and you're not using TrueNAS, label your drives according to what they are in the ZFS pool, because if you don't, you won't know what drive is what. And then you're going to have to end up flashing the drive, if it even has activity lights per drive, with the DD command or something to figure it out, because trust me, you don't want to end up doing that. I'm in that predicament right now. And just label your drives. That's my PSA.
Good. That's a good PSA. The more you know. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to do a storage episode and talk about. We did that actually in the past. I don't remember why, but I remember we did talk about that.
Yeah, I don't remember, but yeah.
So head to head between lane 2 and lane 3, what do you think is superior? And don't give me some kind of cop out. Don't give me like, it depends on how you build.
I won't.
Yada yada yada. I want a real answer.
Not give a cop out. So if you want to build a cluster, lane 3, 100%, go for that.
Well, yeah, of course.
If you want to build just a one size fits all, lane 2.
That was a fence sitting answer if I've ever heard one. But no, I think you're right. I in reality, I think that there's good reason to go with either one. I don't regret going the Goldilocks route, but I really like the small cluster route too. I think they're both really cool for different reasons. To me, the small cluster route is just more like you're just flexing on them nerds, like it's just way cooler. Just way cooler than just having some like half gaming rig that you're running Proxmox on. As part of this Homelab build that I'm doing, I set up a GitLab project where I'm posting my configurations and setups.
Oh, nice.
And I don't know if you want to add to it also, Josh, I could put you as a maintainer or something on there so you can upload yours if you'd like to.
GitHub or GitLab?
GitHub. Do you prefer one or the other? Because I use GitLab at work, but I use GitHub at home.
Yeah, GitHub is fine. That's totally fine.
Sounds good. Yeah, I use GitHub at home because I gotta have that autopilot, that Copilot. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening. And next episode. What's next episode? I don't even know what the next episode topic is, but
I don't know yet.
Yeah, we'll have to think of it and post it. I really appreciate all the new viewers. I hope you stick around. And we got more to come. And thanks for listening. Peace.
See ya. I do want to reconfigure it a little bit because I feel like I need to move my storage servers all the way to the bottom and then move my network gear all the way to the top, because see how the network gear is sitting, or my Proxmox nodes, 2 of them are sitting on top of the network gear. Well, it gets really hot in there. So I want to make it a little better.
So Shark 1, Shark 2.
Shark 3 is behind. You can't see it.
Okay, so Shark 1, Shark 2, and Shark 3 are your Proxmox high availability.
Yes. Yep.
What is the other 2 PCs? That's your NAS?
Yep, one is, they're both TrueNAS, but the top one is the main one that has all my services and all that stuff, and the bottom one's just a mirror of it.
Oh, wow.
Number 2 in Scott Evil. It's Austin Power themed, by the way.
You have a sick setup, man. It's crazy.